Welcome to Hero Villains. What do you think about Void Sentry versus Darkseid? Two gods of darkness and destruction, two beings who have single-handedly overwhelmed entire teams of the most powerful superheroes, two embodiments of absolute destruction and the ambition to rule the multiverse. On one side is the Dark Spectre, the dark side of the Perfect Sentry, a destructive entity that once tore Ares apart and overwhelmed the entire Avengers, possessing power that surpasses even gods and an insatiable desire for destruction, the Void. On the other side is the Dark Lord, the evil god of Apocalypse, the eternal enemy of the entire Justice League and the New Gods, a being who possesses the legendary Omega power capable of erasing anyone from existence, Darkseid. When Marvel's Dark Spectre faces off against DC's Dark Lord, when pure destruction collides with absolute domination, who will be the last one standing?
Robert Reynolds, a man who carries the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns. He was not a hero born with power, but an ordinary human being, an addict living in the darkness of his own mind, until a mysterious experiment transformed him into the most powerful entity Earth had ever known. However, that power did not come without a price. For every ray of light Sentry emits, an equal darkness is born. And that darkness has a name. The Void. Void Sentry is not simply an evil version of Sentry, but the embodiment of every fear, every act of destruction, and every form of chaos that exists throughout the universe. The power of Void Sentry, when the darkness takes complete control, is terrifying. Sentry once demonstrated horrifying strength by tearing apart the negative zone with his bare hands, an area described as existing beyond countless higher dimensional spaces and outside the conventional structure of the multiverse. This is especially significant between the negative zone and subspace, also known as the infinite crossroads, where these spaces appear to exist nested within one another across layers of reality, far beyond ordinary perception. Notably, the negative zone has repeatedly been threatened by forces that had not yet reached the level of supreme gods or angels. Sentry also once battled Galactus, and the fight unfolded with neither side able to easily overpower the other. That confrontation explains why Sentry was able to recognize and remember Galactus' name. However, what is even more terrifying is the void associated with Sentry. This seemingly invisible realm once overwhelmed Doctor Strange and Loki simultaneously. Despite both possessing extremely high-level magical abilities, Doctor Strange once escaped the chains of the Living Tribunal and impressed with his power. He also defeated entities such as the In-Betweener, a being capable of warping reality on a virtually limitless scale, while also confronting Galactus and Eternity. Eternity even acknowledged Strange as the second mortal brave enough to face him directly. The power of this realm was further demonstrated when the Void caused every bone in Hulk's body to break. Even more remarkably, Sentry once survived an ultimate destructive attack, then shattered a cosmic cube capable of affecting countless levels of existence and defeated multiple angels. These feats show that Sentry possesses not only immense physical strength, but also the ability to directly affect structures of reality far beyond space. This makes Sentry particularly terrifying. He can affect realms that exist beyond conventional dimensional systems, withstand cosmic level attacks, and confront some of the most powerful entities in existence. Sentry is often regarded as one of the most difficult powers to measure because his true limits do not lie solely in physical strength, but are directly connected to the metaphysical nature of the Void and the layers of reality he can reach. And, according to Reed Richards, the Ultimate Nullifier is powerful enough to destroy all realities. Sentry has the ability to destroy a planet with nothing but his thoughts. This is an especially remarkable feat because his power does not require physical contact, allowing him to directly affect matter from an extremely great distance. With the concept of magical atoms, in which each atom can contain an infinite universe, the scale of Sentry's power becomes even more difficult to comprehend, because a single unit of matter can be connected to structures of existence on a cosmic scale. Sentry was also once placed on the same level as Zom, an entity possessing terrifying power after absorbing the energy of all mutants. When Venom gained a comparable source of power, he once defeated an entity described as being capable of destroying both Galactus and the Living Tribunal. From this, it can be inferred that the combined power of all mutants could reach an extremely high level. In his stable state, Sentry was once able to hold his own against Hulk in a brutal confrontation. What is particularly noteworthy is that Sentry's power does not increase solely through his physical abilities, but is also directly connected to his mental state and the nature of the Void. When his power reaches its peak, the appearance of the Void causes even the greatest sorcerers to face a uniquely dangerous threat. According to Stan Lee, Doctor Strange once remained resolute while confronting Dormammu, Nightmare, and even Eternity. Yet when Sentry returned at the height of his power, Strange showed clear caution. This creates a remarkable contrast. Strange can directly confront immense cosmic entities, but when faced with Sentry and the Void, his reaction demonstrates the level of danger that Sentry himself represents. From this, it can be argued that Sentry at his strongest could surpass the level of certain entities such as Eternity, Dormammu, and Nightmare under certain circumstances. During World War Hulk, Sentry directly confronted Hulk. To be fair, this feat does not necessarily prove that Sentry was absolutely superior in every aspect. The true significance of the battle lies in Sentry's ability to maintain a balance against a Hulk who was in an extremely savage state. Even his opponent had to acknowledge that he had never felt a power like this before. What makes Sentry truly unique is the combination of physical strength, supernatural energy, and his connection to the Void. Therefore, evaluating him solely by his ability to destroy planets or comparing the force of his punches cannot fully reflect the scale of his power. When Sentry reaches his highest state, the boundary between Robert Reynolds, Sentry, and the Void becomes incredibly thin, making him one of the most difficult characters to determine the true limits of. Sentry has demonstrated the ability to absorb enormous sources of energy, including the power of Odin and Thor. He has also absorbed energy from a cosmic cube, a source of power capable of directly affecting the structure of reality. Some cosmic cubes have been described as powerful enough to defeat angels, while a defective version even caused the collapse of the entire multiverse. Even more remarkably, the cosmic cube was once used to recreate the multiverse after it had been destroyed. Sentry also once overwhelmed Molecule Man for a period of time, and considering that Molecule Man possesses the ability to manipulate matter and energy on an extremely high level, and can even completely recreate himself after being destroyed, Sentry's dominance over this character is a remarkable feat. Sentry's mental defenses are also worth mentioning. He once resisted Doctor Strange's mind manipulation. Despite Strange being a sorcerer who possesses psychic and magical techniques, sophisticated enough to deceive even the Beyonder in certain situations. Strange once used the strategy to deceive and imprison Dormammu within his own dimension, where Dormammu possessed nearly absolute power. Sentry once knocked down a symbiotic celestial entity with a single strike. In another confrontation, Sentry charged directly into Thor and blasted through Asgard, causing severe damage to the realm of the gods. Defeating Thor through sheer physical strength is an especially remarkable feat, because Thor possesses physical strength, durability, and divine energy that rank among the highest of any superhero. Sentry also once effortlessly broke the axe of Terrax, the Tamer. This was a weapon enhanced by cosmic power and one that had previously injured Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer's surfboard itself is composed of the same type of matter bonded to his body, with enough durability to withstand battles against incredibly powerful cosmic forces. When Sentry lost control and became enraged at Norman Osborn, his power became so terrifying that the battlefield seemed like a literal hell had been unleashed upon the human world. Both the Avengers and the Dark Avengers had to find a way to distance themselves and retreat from this explosion of power. Even more impressive was when Sentry faced the Cancerverse forces merged into a single entity. The Cancerverse is described as a distorted reality where countless multi-dimensional entities exist, with origins far beyond the conventional limits of space and time. These feats show that Sentry is not only powerful in terms of physical destruction, he can also absorb cosmic level energy, resist mind manipulation, destroy weapons enhanced by cosmic energy, and confront forces that exist beyond the conventional limits of the multiverse. When Sentry's power combines with the nature of the Void, the level of danger he represents becomes even more difficult to determine, because the true limits of this power can hardly be measured by physical standards. Void Sentry can tear reality apart with his bare hands, recreate himself from a single atom, and manipulate matter at the molecular level with absolute precision. When the Void fully awakens, it becomes an unstoppable force of destruction, a storm of darkness capable of swallowing entire galaxies. During the Siege event, the Void was fully unleashed and became the greatest threat the Avengers had ever faced. Norman Osborn, who had exploited Sentry for his own purposes, inadvertently unleashed the Void, resulting in the destruction of Asgard. The Void tore apart the city of the gods, defeated Thor, and was only stopped when the Avengers, New Avengers, and Young Avengers joined forces to attack. Even then, destroying the Void required the sacrifice of Sentry himself, who asked Thor to end his life in order to stop the darkness. Void Sentry has also confronted high-level cosmic entities. He has fought Galactus, and Void Sentry has also faced abstract entities such as Mephisto and the Lords of Hell, using Sentry's light power to drive back the darkness. However, in his Void form, he becomes far more dangerous, and even cosmic entities must be wary when facing this embodiment of pure darkness.
I really hope you will subscribe to the channel. It would help us tremendously, and you are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much.
Now let's talk about Darkseid, the immortal tyrant of Apocalypse. Darkseid, also known as the Lord of Apocalypse, is one of the most terrifying and complex entities. Born as Uxas on the planet Apocalypse, a hellish world located within the Fourth World, Darkseid was the son of Yuga Khan and Hegra, the brutal rulers of the planet. However, unlike his siblings, Uxas possessed an ambition that surpassed all limitation. He did not merely want to rule Apocalypse, he wanted to dominate all of reality, bending every free will beneath his heel. Uxas killed his brother, Drax, in order to claim the Omega Force, the primordial energy of Apocalypse. When the Omega Force surged into his body, it transformed him completely, turning his skin into gray stone, his eyes into two blazing red pits of fire, and his soul into a bottomless abyss. From that moment on, Uxas no longer existed. Only Darkseid remained, the embodiment of domination and destruction. The only love Darkseid ever knew was for Suli, a kind-hearted scientist, but even that love was taken from him when Hegra, his mother, ordered Suli's death so that Darkseid would not be distracted from his pursuit of power. This loss froze Darkseid's heart forever, transforming him into an entity no longer capable of feeling anything except the desire to dominate. Darkseid has demonstrated the ability to withstand devastating explosions created by explosive spheres, which had been amplified by his own Omega beams. Remarkably, Darkseid suffered almost no significant damage from the explosion, even though these spheres were described as being capable of imprisoning a powerful entity such as God Brainiac. Darkseid's durability is not based solely on physical strength, but is also directly connected to his ability to withstand cosmic-level energy sources. In his confrontation with Val-Zod, Darkseid repeatedly held the advantage and once defeated his opponent with a single strike. This becomes even more remarkable considering that Val-Zod, even in a weakened state, could still reach a level of power comparable to Deimos. Deimos had previously absorbed the power of Val-Zod along with numerous other energy sources to increase his own power. Deimos' strength was even described as surpassing God Brainiac, and Deimos also contained within himself the power of Monarch, the strongest version of Captain Atom, along with the power of countless other Masters of Time. When these power levels are placed side by side, it becomes clear that the New 52 version of Darkseid possesses an extremely terrifying level of power. However, it is important to distinguish between direct feats and conclusions based on chains of scaling. Val-Zod was also once considered superior to Brutal, the Earth 2 clone of Superman. This further reinforces Val-Zod's position within the Kryptonian power hierarchy. When Darkseid is placed above Val-Zod based on their direct encounters, the scale of Darkseid's power becomes even more remarkable. Darkseid can create and destroy planets. His physical structure must be capable of containing the Omega effect, a source of energy that can transform matter on an enormous scale while also creating or destroying entire worlds. Darkseid is not limited to a single fixed physical form. Darkseid also surpasses Tachyon, an entity capable of controlling the entire quantum field. This power includes the ability to affect the flow of time, a realm of existence beyond conventional dimensions, the Speed Force, and the emotional spectrum. Tachyon could even create openings leading to the sources of these energy fields and was was directly connected to their fundamental nature. However, Orion, a character commonly considered Darkseid's equal and eternal rival, once defeated an empowered version of Tachyon with a single strike in Death of the New Gods. Remarkably, at that time, Tachyon also possessed High Father's staff, an especially important source of power for the New Gods. Orion can move planets out of their orbits and destroy entire planets. Darkseid is not simply a warrior with overwhelming physical strength. He possesses resistance to cosmic level energy, control over the Omega effect, the ability to alter his form, and the power to confront entities capable of affecting the deeper structures of reality. Darkseid once defeated Infinity Man with a single strike. This is an especially notable feat because Infinity Man could withstand attacks on a solar system level. In Legion of Superheroes #20 and #24, a weakened Darkseid was still significantly more powerful than Mordru from the pre-Crisis era. This becomes even more impressive when considering Mordru's power. Even while weakened, Mordru was still powerful enough to overcome a planet formed from characters possessing power comparable to pre-Crisis Dr. Fate, while simultaneously overpowering the Justice League of that era. Another feat involving Validus also helps clarify the scale of Darkseid's power. In Adventure Comics #366, Validus was portrayed as being dozens of times more powerful than pre-Crisis Superboy. However, according to Legion of Superheroes Annual #3, Validus possessed only a portion of Darkseid's power. This suggests that Darkseid's true power could be far greater than what was demonstrated through a single confrontation. Darkseid also used Mother Box as a tool to enhance his power and aid in his conquests. However, not every one of his feats can be attributed to this device. Uxus was described as having conquered numerous planets long before setting his sights on Earth. Therefore, a significant portion of his military accomplishments may have come from his own personal power and the armies of Apocalypse. When facing Steppenwolf, Darkseid did not even need his physical form and could completely overwhelm his opponent using only a holographic projection of himself. Steppenwolf was an extremely powerful new god warrior who had fought countless battles and possessed the durability to survive conflicts that ordinary beings could never endure. Yet, against Darkseid, he was reduced to an opponent with virtually no ability to fight back. Darkseid then easily crushed Steppenwolf's head. What is particularly noteworthy is that Steppenwolf had endured numerous brutal battles with Superman without ever being defeated in such an absolute manner. Darkseid also once claimed that he had turned 100,000 worlds to ash. If this statement is taken literally, the scale of the feat extends far beyond a single planet. Darkseid was a cosmic conqueror who had caused destruction on an enormous scale. More importantly, Mother Box was believed to have been on Earth at the time. Darkseid accomplished these feats. If so, attributing all of his destructive capabilities to Mother Box would not be entirely reasonable. A portion of the power displayed could have come directly from Darkseid and his own ability. Overall, Darkseid's feats range from overpowering warriors with solar system level power to conquering and destroying countless worlds. When combined with his personal strength, Omega energy, combat abilities as a new god, and the support of apocalyptic technology, Darkseid becomes one of the most terrifying destructive forces in existence. Darkseid does not rely solely on his personal power, but can also mobilize the entire army of Apocalypse, including parademons, elites, and the female Furies. He has faced some of DC's most powerful heroes, from Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman to Flash and Aquaman, and completely overwhelmed them. He was only defeated when Batman used Radion, the only substance capable of harming the new gods, combined with the power of the entire Justice League. Darkseid has also confronted high-level cosmic entities. He fought the Anti-Monitor, the destroyer of the multiverse, and although he was overpowered in terms of raw strength, he was still able to hold his ground through his intelligence and the Omega effect. He also faced the Spectre, the embodiment of divine judgment, and although he was driven back, he still left scars upon reality that even the Spectre could not heal. In the JLA Avengers event, Darkseid and Thanos joined forces to search for cosmic artifacts, but when their interests came into conflict, they turned against each other. The battle between these two tyrants was one of the most epic clashes in crossover comic book history. Darkseid used his Omega beams against the power of the Infinity Gauntlet, and although both were severely injured, Darkseid still demonstrated his superiority in terms of willpower and endurance. And now, let's get into the direct comparison and combat analysis. This is one of the most unpredictable and destructive battles imaginable. If we only consider raw destructive power, the Void may have the advantage. Its power is limitless, unrestricted by any laws, and driven by pure madness. Its punches can tear reality apart, and its dark energy can consume everything. However, the Void's power is chaotic and lacks purpose. It is a storm, incredibly powerful but incapable of concentrating its strength on a single point. Meanwhile, Darkseid's Omega power is the power of purposeful destruction, controlled by a superior intellect. His Omega beams are not only powerful but also absolutely precise, impossible to evade, and capable of erasing an opponent from existence. This is a weapon designed to end a battle quickly and completely. If Darkseid uses his Omega beams against the Void, he could erase it from reality, even if the Void is capable of regeneration. The Void is a part of Robert Reynolds. It exists as the dark side of Sentry's soul. If Darkseid could erase the Void, would that mean he would also erase Sentry? On the other hand, Darkseid is a god, a being of divine origin. His existence is not bound to another entity. He is himself, an independent force with his own ambitions. The Void, despite its immense power, is still a part of a greater whole. It could be destroyed if Sentry were destroyed, or if the connection between them were severed. Darkseid has no such weakness. He is an independent entity, and to defeat him, one would have to overcome the very nature of his divinity. The Void has no strategy. It fights through pure destructive instinct. It charges at its enemies with all its power, without thinking and without defending itself. This makes it dangerous, but also predictable. Darkseid, by contrast, is a master strategist. He will analyze his opponent, identify their weaknesses, and use the Omega power with the greatest precision and efficiency. Darkseid would immediately recognize that the Void is a chaotic, destructive force. He would not waste his energy engaging it in a direct physical contest. Instead, he would use his Omega beams to attack from a distance, maintain his advantage, and wait for the right opportunity. He could also use his psychic abilities to attack the Void's mind, exploiting the connection between it and Robert Reynolds. He could attempt to manipulate the Void's mind, forcing it to turn against Sentry himself or causing it to destroy itself. The fight. The Void, consumed by destructive rage, would charge at Darkseid with all its power. Darkseid, cold and calculating, would unleash his Omega beams. The blazing red energy would race straight toward the Void, bending space as it pursued its target. The Void would roar, attempting to release dark energy to block them, but Darkseid's Omega beams could pierce through those energy barriers. The Void would be relentlessly bombarded by the Omega beams. It would be wounded, but its regenerative abilities would allow it to recover rapidly. However, Darkseid would realize that a direct assault would not be enough to finish the Void. He would change tactics. Instead of erasing the Void, he would use the Omega Sanction, trapping the Void in an endless loop of painful lies. He would imprison the storm of destruction within a mental cage, neutralizing it without having to completely destroy it. However, the Void could fight back. Its destructive power might be enough to break even the Omega Sanction. If that happened, Darkseid would be forced to use his final attack. He would concentrate the full power of the Omega Force into a single strike, targeting the very essence of the Void, the connection between it and Robert Reynolds. He would attempt to sever that connection, or at least erase the Void's sense of existence, turning it into true nothingness. The final result would be a brutal battle in which both sides suffered devastating injuries. But with his superior intellect and precise Omega power, Darkseid would emerge victorious. This would be an extremely difficult and costly victory for Darkseid.
And that is our analysis of the battle between the Dark Spectre and the Dark Lord. Let us know what you think by leaving a comment below. Are you siding with the chaotic destruction of the Void, or the Omega power of Darkseid? If you enjoy epic showdowns between the most powerful evil forces, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another multiversal battle. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much.